How y'all doing today? My name is Ryan, and this is Down to Business Reviews. This week for Movie Club, we watched Being John Malkovich, directed by Spike Jonze and starring John Cusack, Cameron Diaz, Catherine Keener, and, of course, John Malkovich. Being John Malkovich stars John Cusack as Craig Schwartz, a lonely puppeteer who discovers a portal in his office into the head of John Malkovich in this bizarre Charlie Kaufman-penned surrealist comedy. There's something about a Charlie Kaufman story that is very uniquely Charlie Kaufman. Being John Malkovich is nothing if not creative. The story has a strangeness to it that is both oddly charming and occasionally off-putting. The same thing could be said for another one of his stories, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, which I absolutely adore. However, this film has a somewhat darker tone than Eternal Sunshine does. All of the characters are dingy is the only word I can use to describe it. There are a lot of darkly humorous moments, but none of the characters are particularly likable in Being John Malkovich. As a matter of fact, they're all pretty terrible people, and John Malkovich comes off looking pretty much like the victim and the only likable character in the entire story. The common theme that I've felt with watching a Spike Jonze film is just the slightest whiff of pretension. When you're watching this film, or another one of his movies like Where the Wild Things Are, you get the feeling of, man, this movie is really in love with itself. I can't really pinpoint why I feel that way, because this isn't really a bad movie, and Spike Jonze isn't a bad director. It just feels like that this movie is making itself out to be more profound than it actually is. That brings us to the rights and wrongs with Being John Malkovich. The first thing that this film did right is that it has an incredibly original premise. The concept itself is brilliant, and it makes for a really interesting story. Secondly, Spike Jonze's talent as a visually interesting director is really apparent in this film. His history of directing a lot of music videos works well to his advantage in a movie like this. Just watch Where the Wild Things Are. I mean, that movie is beautiful to watch. I felt that the most humorous parts of this movie came from John Malkovich, when he's just acting out the more mundane aspects of his life, like making toast or taking a shower. And finally, most of the surreal effects are actually practical effects, relying mostly on camera tricks and, wide-angle lenses. The movie relies very little on CGI, and I find that refreshing. It gives it sort of a timeless quality. But what did Being John Malkovich do wrong? First of all, the characters look really strange. Everyone is so disheveled. I mean, Cameron Diaz looks like a freaking trash person. What were they trying to convey in the story, that everyone is homeless? Secondly, it's hard to sympathize with a main character who has so many flaws. He's selfish, he's unfaithful to his wife, and he's taking advantage of the innocent John Malkovich. You actually start rooting against the protagonist by the end of the film. And thirdly, it's a little pretentious. It lays it on the most thick, in the first 30 minutes, and then it kind of evens out. It eventually lightens up into an interesting and unique movie experience. It's the originality of the story by Charlie Kaufman and the strength of the titular actor that makes Being John Malkovich worth watching. I'm giving it a B. Guys, that's it for this week. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. If you liked anything that I was rambling on about, please leave a comment down below. Like and subscribe if you really liked it. If you didn't know, I do these reviews for SourceFedNERD's Movie Club, which airs every Saturday on their channel. Please join us. Sometimes I get featured, sometimes I don't. Either way, it's a lot of fun. That said, thanks again so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and I will see you guys next time. Have a good one. I also wanted to say that last week I got featured on the Movie Club show, and I was playing my guitar and singing a song from Grease. If you're at all interested in my musical endeavors, I do have another channel that has some really old and embarrassing videos on it, but if you want to check out my album, I have a link down in the description down below. I'm also on Spotify, so you can just listen to me there, or on Bandcamp. If you want to check that out, that'd be super cool. I'd really appreciate it, and I'd appreciate your feedback, so thanks so much. You guys had a lot of really nice things to say, and it made me feel nice, so thank you.